Have you ever looked at generative AI and thought, how does that actually work? And could I build one myself? Well, the answer is absolutely yes. Over the next few minutes, we're going to pull back the curtain, demystify the magic, and give you the exact blueprint and toolkit to go from just understanding this stuff to actually building it.
Okay, so first things first, what are we even talking about? Put simply, generative AI models are basically just incredible pattern-finding machines. They sift through mountains of data, like all the books ever written or a billion images, and they learn the hidden rules, so they can then create something totally new and original, all in that same style. And why should you care? Because honestly, this is a massive game changer. It's automating creative work, it's supercharging productivity, helping us write code or draft emails in seconds. It's the engine behind all the chatbots and copilots popping up everywhere. But, and this is a big but, it also means we've got some really important new questions we need to figure out together.
All right, so before we can start building, we need the plan, right? You got to have the blueprint before you lay the foundation. So think of this first part as exactly that, the architect's plan. These are the core steps that every single generative AI from ChatGPT to Midjourney is built on. Step 1. It all starts with a really simple question. What do you want this thing to make? Do you need a writer to generate text? An artist for images? Maybe a composer for music? You have to define that purpose first, because it's the North Star that guides every single decision you make after this. Next up, you gotta feed the model. See, an AI learns from examples, and it needs a staggering amount of them. We're not talking about a handful of books here. For a big language model, you're feeding it a library the size of the entire internet. Both the quality and the sheer quantity of this data are absolutely critical. But here's the thing. You can't just dump a bunch of messy, raw data into the model and hope for the best. This is the cleanup phase. You got to get rid of weird formatting, make sure all your images are the same size, tidy everything up so the model can actually understand what it's looking at and learn properly. Okay, this next one is super important. Not all AI models are created equal. It's just like in a workshop. You wouldn't use a hammer to cut a piece of wood, right? You have to pick the right AI architecture for the job you want to do. You can't just expect an image generator to write you a sonnet. And this is where the magic really happens. The model starts to learn. If it's a text model, it might practice by just predicting the next word in a sentence, over and over and over. For an image model, it learns how to turn a bunch of digital static into a crystal clear picture. It makes millions, even billions of tiny corrections, and through that process, it starts to understand the patterns. So that whole process can be boiled down to this one simple pipeline. If you're going to remember one thing, remember this. You start with data, you pre-process it, you pick your model, you train it, then you often fine-tune it for a specific task, and finally you deploy it so people can actually use it. Every single generative AI follows this path. And remember what we said about choosing the right tool for the job? Well, this is what that actually looks like in practice. For anything with text, like a chatbot, the go-to model type is the transformer. That's what's inside things like GPT and Llama. But if you want to create amazing images, you're probably going to look at diffusion models, which is the tech behind Stable Diffusion. I just love this analogy because it makes the whole idea of training just click. It really is like teaching a student. You don't give them a giant rule book and say, memorize this. No, you just show them a ton of examples and let them figure out the patterns for themselves. That's it. Okay, so that was the theory. We've got the architect's plan. Now let's get to the really fun part, the practical toolkit. We're shifting gears from the what to the how. We're going to talk about what you can actually do to start building something like today. This is the big question, right? The one we all want to know. We get the concepts, but how do you actually roll up your sleeves and make something real? Well, let me tell you, it is way more accessible than you probably think. So, you've basically got two roads you can go down. On one hand, you could try to build a model completely from scratch. It's an amazing way to learn, for sure, but it is incredibly hard and costs a fortune in computing power. Or you can do what pretty much everyone does. Take a massive, powerful model that already exists and just fine-tune it for your needs. It's beginner-friendly, super cheap, and it's by far the most popular way to do it. And here's the best part. You don't even need to be a coding wizard anymore. Seriously, tools like the OpenAI API let you tap directly into models like GPT-4. And platforms like Google AI Studio or Hugging Face Auto-Train, they give you these beautiful, user-friendly interfaces to build on, sometimes without writing a single line of code. Now, hold on. Before we get too carried away with all the cool stuff we can build, we have to pause and talk about something really, really important. This isn't just about what's technically possible, it's about being responsible. This kind of power comes with a code of conduct, an ethical code that every single builder needs to understand. Let's start with one of the weirdest and biggest risks: hallucinations. This is when an AI just makes stuff up. It will state a completely false fact with all the confidence in the world. It sounds totally plausible, but it's just not true. You have to always verify the output.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. As a builder, you've got to watch out for bias that the AI learns from its data. You've got to navigate tricky copyright issues. A huge one: you have to protect privacy and never, ever feed sensitive data into a public model. And of course, be aware of misuse, like creating deepfakes. And when it comes to your own work, use AI to help you, not replace you.
Phew, okay, that was a heavy but necessary conversation. So let's bring everything we've learned together with a fun, simple project. Let's walk through the steps to build your very first specialized AI, a custom birthday wish generator. See how this follows our blueprint perfectly? First, you'd collect your data, let's say 500 birthday messages. Then you clean them up. Next, you choose a small, efficient, pre-trained model like Llama. Then you fine-tune it specifically on your birthday messages. Finally, you deploy it as a little web app and boom, you give it a prompt and it gives you a custom birthday wish. You've built an expert. And just like that, you've done it. You've made the journey from blueprint to builder. You've just conceptually built one specialized, actually useful generative AI model. You see, the process isn't some dark art or some abstract mystery. It's a real, tangible set of steps, and they are more accessible right now than they have ever been. So, we've walked through the architect's plan, we've opened up the builder's toolkit, you have the blueprint, which means the only question left is the most exciting one of all. What are you going to build first?